Thank you for giving me your time. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
So, did your staff brief you on what we're talking about?
Yes, endo postpartum hair loss.
Yes. Yeah.
I think maybe you threw in PCOS.
Yes. So,
Okay. PCOS, fibroids, like all the hormone imbalances and how hair loss comes in. Okay, perfect.
yeah. So if you want to just introduce yourself and jump right into it, since you're limited on time, we can just go from there.
Okay, did you have any questions for me or anything before we get started?
If you don't mind me asking as we go,
Okay. Is my camera in the right place? Like when I'm looking right now, am I looking at you, or because like when you're looking at me right now, I feel like you're looking up. So I need to see if when I look at you, am I looking directly at you, or am I looking like in an arbitrary?
you are looking at me. I am not
Okay.
looking at you though.
Okay.
Okay. Is this better?
Yeah. Now
Okay.
it looks like you're looking at me.
Okay. All right. That's going to be challenging for me to do.
That's okay. That's why I'm penning you so that you're going to be penned. Okay, so let me pen you. So now that I penned you, does it look like I'm looking at you, or does it look like I'm looking at something random?
No, it looks like you're looking at me.
Okay, perfect. I got you penned on the big screen right
Okay.
now.
Perfect. But it still looks like I'm looking at someone different.
It looks like you're looking like up above my I don't know how to put it. It just doesn't look like you're looking at me, but maybe
Okay.
it'll be good.
I'll focus on a different area.
No, you're good. I just want to make sure it doesn't. I had to redo a recording before because we were like looking and we were on, was it Riverside? And we weren't looking at the right angle. And it looked like we were both like ignoring each other, yet talking to each other. So she sent me the recording and I was like, yeah, we'll redo it. It's like, looks like we're in a totally different like metasphere on that one. Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you. I know your time is limited, so whenever you want to jump in, I just wanted to talk about the hormone imbalances, the hair loss that women experience after childbirth, PCOS, fibroids. I know I've experienced that myself, which was a huge reason why I started wearing hair replacements. I know there's different things that can help with that and retain what they have. But if you have anything that you'd like to add to that and suggest.
2 seconds. The courier was supposed to be coming at 2. I hope that's not them at 1:07 right now, ringing my doorbell. Let me go check because I don't want them to keep ringing. Like, I don't want that to keep happening.
Hmm.
Okay. No, you're fine. It's okay. Yeah. No, you're absolutely fine. Just super early, but I appreciate your eagerness. Okay, thanks. Okay, I'm back.
Very busy lady.
God has blessed my business. I could not complain. I just
Great.
need everybody to stay on the schedule, and we got people trying to ramp the timelines up. And I'm like, oh no, I'm not available, not quite yet, but you can hang out and wait. Yes. So yeah, I'll just let you kind of do interview style, and I'll hit it with the answers.
All right. Sounds great. And you'd like to introduce yourself as Dr. LJ.
You can intro me as Dr. LJ, and then after that, you can just call me LJ. I'm not on a high horse. It's fine. Doesn't bother me.
And when I introduce you, you specialize in endometriosis. How would you like me to introduce you?
So I specialize in endometriosis and women's hormones, all things functional and holistic health.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do it. All right. Well, thank you, Dr. LJ, for joining me. She specializes in endometriosis and all things functional health and hormones. I feel like this is such an important area for women to explore because we experience so much hair loss after birth, imbalances with our hormones, and a lot of times we don't really know what has happened until it's late. So if you can share from your experience with some of your patients, what you've seen, and we'll go from there.
Yeah. Well, before I jump into my practice, I always like to kind of throw myself in the hot seat. I say this all the time. So if you guys ever hear me, you're like, she's on the right track. I'm starting my spill. You know how I do. I always say this. I'm not coming from the high horse of this is what I learned and this is what's going to, we already know textbook knowledge. What really translate in real life, sometimes two different things, right? The math isn't always mathing. So I'm not coming from the high horse. I'm coming from the low horse, the been there, done that horse. I dealt with hair loss, still deal with some issues as I'm healing my thyroid naturally. And so just empowering you and just giving you some information, not necessarily trying to diagnose you and tell you this is your problem, but giving you more information so that you're in the driver's seat, so that you can have a conversation with your doctor, with your practitioner, so that you can stop saying, okay, yes, there's hair loss, but there's other things going on. So I just want to kind of empower you. A little bit of my journey. It took me 16 years to be properly diagnosed with endometriosis. So that was 16 years of doctors, dismissing me, telling me it was all in my head. 16 years of me starting to think, maybe I am being dramatic, maybe I am a hypochondriac. But then I'm like, I get you're saying that, but I just missed 2 weeks of work and I just got wrote up because I'm all out of PTO, right? So yeah, I was having hair loss issues and hormone issues, but it was so much bigger than that. So 16 years of honestly just like fighting and chasing a diagnosis, then getting the diagnosis, which I know a lot of you can relate to, and then being like, oh, okay, well, there's not a lot we can do in conventional medicine. So they, that phrase that they give you where they kind of want to tell you to shut up, but they can't. So they're just kind of like, well, there's not a lot we can do. So do you want to go back? And so I was basically told like, yeah, do you want to just like stop complaining and go back on birth control and go back on pain pills? And I was kind of like, I've been doing this for 16 years and it wasn't helping, right? Like I needed other options. And so that's why I do what I do when it comes to functional and holistic medicine, and not that conventional or allopathic or pharmaceuticals. We're not demonizing that. But if you're listening to the summit, you probably know it takes a little more than that, right? The pharmaceuticals and conventional medicine and just, the run of the mill, information we're being given, it'll only get us so far. And then it still keeps us chasing for root cause, right? I mean, and that's what we're going to kind of delve in today. I know we're talking about hair loss, and I'm known for doing the unsexy, right? We can talk about symptoms and supplements, but we have to really go a little bit deeper. And so what I've seen not only with myself and in my practice is when you're dealing with hair loss, when you're dealing with symptoms, I want to just take all the symptoms and really have us realize that that is honestly, I'm huge on analogies as well. So work with me on this analogy. It's really like your body giving you a check engine light, letting you know that something is wrong. I get it. You're sitting here right now and you're like, LJ, every time I wash my hair, clumps of my hair is coming out, or, you're maybe dealing with PCOS, right? So you have the male pattern balding, but then you have hair in all the wrong places. You're like, if I could just grab all that hair that's growing everywhere else, put it on top of my head, and then get these chin hairs and all this other like nipple hair and all this other stuff, like if I could just divert it. But what I want you to realize is no matter what you're going through, whatever diagnosis, it really is your body giving you a check engine light, letting you know that something is out of balance. So to really get the wins that you want and be able to not just put a band-aid on it or a supplement on every symptom or a pill for every ill, you have to kind of do some of that work. And so, doing some of that work when I'm working with people, and what I did really to heal myself naturally is looking at your hormones, looking at your immune system, looking at detoxification. And I know those are the trickier things, right? Because we want that. I get those DMs, those Instagram DMs, the emails all the time, what one juice, what one supplement, what vitamin can I take? I'm taking biotin. Do I need to increase the dosage? And I think those things can be really amazing, but we have to realize that when our body is in that metabolic chaos, we have to dig deeper to those root causes. And then once we find those root causes, we can start to build a healing protocol, I would say, that will give us more of those wins.
I mean, there's just so much knowledge right there that I couldn't agree to more. Seeing clients in my chair every day, they just are at a loss of where to begin. And exactly to your point, like what supplement can we take? Is there anything that they can do proactively when that check engine light comes on? Like where's the first place that they should start? Is it with someone like yourself?
Well, this is what I would say. When you're having a cluster of symptoms, I know that we like to, once again, not demonizing the medical system that we have, but it's more of a sick care system. So I think it's great to go to the healthcare, use your insurance, get whatever knowledge you can there. And then also realize that to really, get in the driver's seat and get some wins, you need some functional medicine. You're going to need to see someone functional medicine, holistic health, integrative medicine, someone that's going to dig deeper past the symptoms, especially for anyone that has a uterus, my females. You need to look at your hormones and your gut health. And I've been there, right? When your skin's breaking out and your hair is thinning, no one's sitting around thinking, gosh, what could I do to support my microbiome? Like, that's not on our list, right? We're like, where do we get the hair weave? What are we going to do? Like, where do we get the wigs? Like, I've been there, right? I mean, you're like, I need to feel confident in my everyday self. I need to be confident at my job and my relationships. And as much as we want to say like, oh, it's all about inner beauty, let's be honest. We can have all the inner beauty in the world, but if you don't feel confident in the body that you're representing every day, that you're showing up in, or you feel like you have a body that's unreliable, I'm just going to keep it 100. I love the affirmations and the mindset, but it really is about having the tools that you need. And so when we look at this issue, I really like to look at hormones and gut health. So like I said, hormones and gut health are really that foundation. Now, when it comes to hormones, I think a lot of the time we kind of sweep it under the rug, right? I've gotten older. Oh, that's just how my body's going to be after a couple of kids. Like, we have all these excuses that we've made, or we normalize it as like, oh, it's bad genetics. My mom had this problem. My grandma had, everyone has hair thinning, everyone has fibroids. And I think what we need to start realizing that genetics will load the gun, but our daily activities are going to pull the trigger, right? So traumas, stressors, nutrition, and hormones. And I think the biggest thing when it comes to hormones is we just go to our allopathic doctor, we get the blood work, right? And how many of you have had all these issues and then they're like, oh, your blood work looks fine. And you're like, that's weird because you're telling me on paper, I feel amazing, but you're like 6 cups of coffee later, I'm not sleeping, I'm gaining weight, my hair's falling out. You're once again, like the math doesn't really add up. You're like, it's not quite making sense. And so this is where I really tell people that you need to dig deeper. When it comes to digging deeper with your hormones, I really like to look at the dried urine test, because what we typically get is you go to the OB, you go to your regular doctor, and they're like, your estrogen's fine, your progesterone's fine, everything's fine. It's so then you start thinking it's all in your head. But what we need to realize is that even if your hormones show up picture perfect on your labs, it doesn't mean that your body knows what to do with the hormones. And maybe they're being pushed down the wrong pathway. And then sometimes, even though you're looking good on the diagnostic forms, as far as like diagnostic blood work, as far as functional, it's not optimal, right? It may look good on paper, but you don't have the energy, you're having the hair loss, you're having the hormone issue. So that's the biggest thing I tell people is check your hormones. Also with hair loss, we want to move from the blood work over to the dried urine, and then also optimizing your thyroid. I think that's a big one, right? We don't really think of thyroid until we're gaining weight. As soon as you are gaining weight, once again, we have this, oh, it's my metabolism. Oh, I'm getting older. Oh, it's about that age. I'm like, I've heard it all, right? And I've told myself some of those things as well, but then I'm like, hold it. There's people that are 60 something years old and they're not having these issues. So can we really chalk it up to that's just how it goes? So we have to really look at the hormones, look at your thyroid, make sure you're getting a full thyroid panel. And I know when you say thyroid, they're going to give you maybe the TSH or the T3, look at it. Once again, we're always good to go, but making sure you get that full thyroid panel, looking at antibodies, looking at your T3, your T4, your TSH, like everything, because there could be some markers there that are not optimal for your body. I'll take it a step further. A lot of people that I work with, a lot of my clients, maybe their blood work looks fine and you're within range, but it may not be within range for your body. And I'm one of those people, I look great on paper, but I still needed that additional support. I still needed to bring in some nutrients. I had been on birth control. I had made some choices, based on the information I had at the time that kind of messed with my gut, not kind of, definitely, let me rephrase that. It definitely had messed with my gut microbiome, antibiotics, managing chronic illness, different things like that. Like all of those things played a part. So even though I looked good on paper, even in functional labs, I looked good on paper, but my body required more. So checking those hormones, looking at your thyroid health, and then let's talk about pooping. I know when your hair is messed up and it's not really doing what you need to do, nobody's thinking about their poop schedule. It's not the fun, it's not the sexy, but having a detoxification issue, having bowels that do not move, you're essentially just, how do I put it? your detoxification pathway is not working. You're not detoxing. Your hair is not going to grow. You're not going to have vibrant skin. You're not going to have energy if your body is toxic, if it's recirculating toxins. So just simple things out of the gates, making sure you're drinking plenty of water, making sure you're doing fiber. And when I say fiber, I'm not talking about Metamucil and Miralax and all of those. I'm talking about good whole foods, and then making sure your bowels are moving 2 to 3 times a day. And this is when I say unsexy, because you're thinking about hair loss and you're like, give me the one supplement. I'm telling you, if those bowels are not moving, if you're not detoxing and pushing out toxins, you are recirculating that estrogen, you're recirculating those toxins, and that's not going to give your body those building blocks that you need.
So how do you figure out if your body isn't regulating the hormones or doing what they're supposed to do with them? And also with like the thyroid, how do you know that your thyroid is producing what it's supposed to be producing and doing what it's supposed to be doing?
Symptoms, right? How do you feel? Do you wake up? Let's just talk about thyroid. When you're dealing with a sluggish thyroid, because typically if you have a hyperactive thyroid, I usually don't see a lot of hair loss. Now, when your thyroid is not showing up, your metabolism, typically we start to put on that little extra cushion for the pushing, all that extra weight between the boobs and the knees. And I know that's a big area, but when all that weight starts to pack on right there, you're the person that you're like, I'm exercising, I'm doing Zumba class, I'm lifting weights, I'm doing all the healthy stuff, yet you're putting on weight. You may actually put more weight on when you exercise. I repeat, when you have a sluggish thyroid, your body is more inflamed. So what typically will make you sweat and detox and feel amazing, it actually is the opposite for you, right? Brittle hair, brittle nails, hair that won't grow, nails that won't grow. You're always cold. That was a big thing for me. Yes, I lived in Colorado, so they always like to sweep it under the rug. Oh, you're in the mountains. I would be in the summer. Like I can look at Facebook memories, 90 something degrees outside and I'm in a sweatshirt, right? Like my body was cold. I could not regulate my body temperature. I was not sleeping well. Another big thing, going back to the poop schedule, the unsexy, when your thyroid is sluggish, your bowels, they become very sluggish as well. You're the person that's taken all the magnesium in the world. You're doing all the clean eating. You're doing all the things, the juice cleanse, the water fast. Your bowels are like, great, not responding, right? There's always an issue with that. And then you start to see that hormones recirculate. And that's when we start looking at things like estrogen dominance, fibrocystic breast. So everyone's symptoms look a little bit different. I just always tell people, and even for myself, do a dried urine test at least every year, every 2 years, right? Just because you checked your hormones in 2020, those are amazing. But even for myself, and this is what I do for a living, I can't just keep building my healing protocol off of 3-year-old information. So you want to make sure you're pooping for science, especially if you're dealing with a lot of bloating. That's another thing with thyroid issues. There's usually a component where your gut microbiome is not sufficient. You're not breaking foods down. You don't have digestive enzymes. You're the person, doing all the things. You're using the castor oil pack. You're taking the supplements. You're doing the digestive enzymes. Yet you're like, your body is not responding. That's when we have to start digging a lot deeper.
There are so many areas again where we could just touch on. What is a dried urine test?
Dried urine. So this is a fun one. So when you go to get your blood work, typically, let's say if I just showed up today, they draw my blood today. They aren't going to ask what day am I in on my cycle, what's going on. It's basically like, you're here, go in for your blood work. And you're like, great, like, yeah, let's do it. We just go ahead. But dried urine is literally dried urine. When I talk about the unsexy, but I'm telling you, this is where the money is. This is really going to bring you the answer. A dried urine test will tell me where my hormones are at, which is great. But it also tells me all these other things, how my body is actually metabolizing them. Think about it. Who cares if you have these perfect hormone levels if your body doesn't know what to do with them? Right. The other thing is sometimes you have, hormones are out of balance, right? For example, if you have too much estrogen, then your progesterone's not there, right? You're out of balance. So you're having that weight gain, you're having the hot flashes, you're having receding gums, your hair isn't right, your nails aren't right, your body's not right. And you're probably feeling a little more sassy, right? Like I'm a sassy one, but there's one thing to be sassy and then you pushing into the aggression. And that fine line where you're like, I know we like to be like, oh, it's just my hormones. Yeah, sometimes sometimes it really is your hormones and we need to like, balance them out. So you want to know where your hormones are. You want to know that your body knows what to do with them. And then it's all about pathways, right? So think of like, there's a bathtub analogy, but I want to do like a sewer system analogy, or just an analogy where everything is flowing and going. If your body is pushing them down the wrong pathway, then yeah, you may have the right amount of hormones, but your body doesn't know what to do with them. You push them down the incorrect pathway, you begin to grow proliferative tissue. You're the person that's always dealing with an ovarian cyst, a fibroid. Maybe you have fibrocystic breast. Maybe they get very tender. Maybe before your cycle, you feel like your whole body kind of goes crazy. And then when your cycle comes, you're like, I made it, I made it through another, the ups and downs. Maybe you have the irregular cycles. Maybe you have a cycle that doesn't show up at all. Or then there's people like myself, which had the diagnosis of endometriosis, where I was having murder scene periods, all of these things happening, and chronic inflammation throughout my body. And inflammation is another big thing that we overlook, because once again, we're chasing the symptom. We want skin that's glowing. We just want the glowing skin. We want beautiful hair. We just want the beautiful hair. But it's some of that dried urine test where you're looking at the hormones, how your body is metabolizing them, and then what we need to do to make sure they're going down the correct pathway. That's really some of the information you get from a dried urine test. It also gives information about your gut health. Like, are you, especially with your hormones, when you're having mood issues, or you're like, I feel more aggressive, or you're feeling depressed, you're like anxiety, you're like, I'm just not feeling like myself. We start looking at those neurotransmitters, which also has a huge impact on hair loss, hair growth, just how you feel in your mood goes back to your gut health. So it gives tons of information. So I know dried urine doesn't sound sexy, but I'm telling you, if you do that test, it will give you a lot of information and help you lean into your sexy yes.
It sounds like that. And just coming from that standpoint, I've never heard of it before. So if we were to ask our physicians to do a dried urine test, would they know what to run on that test?
So they would not. That's something that you're going to get from someone like myself or someone in functional medicine. So I have had patients where I ran their test. They took it back to their regular PCP and they're like, what is this? Right. So we do some additional training to be able to break it down. So it's definitely something I can offer. You could contact a naturopath in your area, someone that does integrative medicine. The other thing I would say is, if you get it done with someone, make sure they can actually interpret it. There are ways that you can order it directly from the company, but I get those emails all the time like, hey, I tried the cheaper route. I ran the test, and then you get all the spokes and the wheels and the numbers. There's a lot of training that goes behind it. When I break down a test with my medical director and we break it down with people, we're on the phone or on Zoom for about an hour. So if someone's interpreting your Dutch test in 10 to 15 minutes, there's a lot that's being unsaid.
So it's called a Dutch test?
Yes. So the dried urine test. Yes. Dutch test.
Okay. And do you see patients from all over, or is it just in your area?
I'm virtual. So the scamdemic has allowed us to be all virtual. So yes, I can help you wherever you're at internationally, right from the comfort of your home. Absolutely.
Right. So I'm pretty sure I have 2 patients in my household for you.
Okay. I'm ready for them. Bring them on over, right? Bring them on over.
So if we wanted to get a hold of you to do those testings, and just to even, do you just do men, or do you just do women? Do you do men? Do you do children? Like, what's your practice?
Women are my specialty, but I can help everyone. Usually we get the females right. And then all of a sudden they're like, hey, my partner. Hey, now that you've got me better, or sometimes the partners are like, what are you doing? They start seeing the changes in your own health. And they're like, okay, maybe I need to have that little sit down with LJ. So yes, I work with anyone, but specifically women, just because I am a female, and I've been there, done that. Like I said, I went through 16 years of suffering. I've been there. I was that person, literally with all the alphabet soup behind my name and tears, begging a doctor to believe me, begging a doctor to listen. It's kind of funny. I have a doctor's appointment today, and I'm all, I've got my advocacy cape on. I'm ready to go, because I'm like, look here, like, I'm not playing games with you. Like, this is what we need to do. And I pray it goes successful.
Sure, they know you mean business.
And that's exactly how we have to show up to those appointments. Yes.
Do you take insurance?
So I do not accept insurance. There are times where we can use FSA, HSA, or HRA, depending on your plan and what you need. Yeah. But typically it's going to be private pay. And I mean, let's be honest, if you're managing a chronic illness, you found that your insurance will only do so much. I'm very grateful for what it can do, but there are times where we have to just kind of bite the bullet and just look at it as an investment. I think sometimes when we're like, oh my gosh, it costs so much to be healthy. Yes, it's really just shifting that money. It's an investment.
Right. And do you use like Western medicine, or like what, if it was something that needed to be treated, do you have a certain protocol that you do per patient? Is it
Yeah.
something?
So everything is I don't do cookie cutter. So I think it's great for those who have everyone on the same nutrition, everyone on the same supplements. I found, especially with the population I work with, that doesn't work. Once again, because it didn't work for me, right? So if it doesn't work for me, I don't really implement it. I like to share what works. And so just what we found is very specialized nutrition for each person, specialized supplements, and everyone's journey is different. Some people could be dealing with hair loss and have a gut issue. Others, it could be a nutrient deficiency. Possibly you're in perimenopause, so your hormones are up and down. And so when they're dipping down, you feel like your world's falling apart. So it's what can we do to come in and stabilize? So it's very specialized and individualized.
So when they leave the appointment with you, they'll take that away.
You're getting everything. Yes.
All right. Well, I'm excited for that for myself.
Yeah, I'd love to partner with you. Absolutely.
And we have so many clients in our facility that are going through this. I mean, we see children with hair loss that have no reason why, and I think that you would be a huge benefit to them. So I
Yeah.
appreciate all of your time and your expertise. I would love if we could share your information with our audience as well, and within my facility, if you're
Yeah,
willing.
absolutely. We can chat after. I'd love to collaborate. I mean, I have a website, which is ljspowerhouse.org. We are going to be switching it over, but even if you go to the old website, you're going to be pushed into the new one, which is the Holistic Endo Expert. I have a podcast, which is the Holistic Endo Expert. I talk everything about endometriosis and hormones, functional health, holistic health. So lots of great information on there. I'm on Instagram. I love social media. So lots of free content on there as well. I do a lot of Q&A. So today on my Instagram, I'm doing a Q&A. So there are days where I'll take questions and do videos and answer and things like that, because I always do that because I remember what it was like, me and Dr. Google trying to find the answers. Like that's cool to an extent, but when you're doing that every night till 1 a.m., 2 a.m. because you're exhausted, sometimes I just like, I want to get you straight to the money, right? I love the research and things like that, but it gets overwhelming, and it could just be me, but I was very overwhelmed with all of the health, recommendations, all of the supplements. I didn't know where to start. And so that's why I do the Q&As. That's why, essentially why I do everything that I do, because I remember what it was like to just be out here suffering, not knowing what to do, feeling, I just felt like my body was not reliable. I felt like I was a great person, but there were so many people that couldn't see that, because I had a body that would put me on the couch, a body that would have a period, twice a month, and I'd be missing work all the time, or when I owned my own business, and there's nothing worse than owning a business and having to call every day and cancel, that's not really sustainable. So I had to kind of sit back and retrain myself and do some re-education to just get my life back.
I feel like you're a missing link to a lot of people's journey. So I am so appreciative that you spent some time with us. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it was great. And I will include all of your information in your interview that we send out for everybody. And I'm sure that you'll have a lot of people reaching out to you.
I'm ready.
Thank you so much. That was, you are just so knowledgeable. Obviously, you know this, right? But yeah, there's so many people I am thinking of in my own practice that I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to send you her and her daughter. And
Do you have a couple minutes to tell me a little bit more about your practice? I know you're still recording. I don't know if you want to keep recording, or I'm fine either way. Yeah.
I'll edit it out.
Okay.
So I have a practice of hair replacements for people who have hair loss. And
where are you located?
Cleveland, Ohio.
Okay. Okay.
I am everyone's last resort, unfortunately, because by the time they come to me, they're covering their hair loss up. Supplements don't only maintain what they have. You know how it goes. And
oh yeah, honey, I got a strong hair weave. I totally get it.
it was fantastic.
People are like, I love your hair. I'm like, oh, I get new hair every 6 weeks. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's a sew-in.
I slip in, but I can relate.
Yours is a what?
Slip in?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I know I love my sew-in, but when my hair starts growing, it starts moving. So I'm like, I may need to come up with a new, I mean, I'm all about a hair weave. We gotta do what we gotta do. So
You can do that with the clip-ins, and it's
oh.
like you can take it on and off every night and pop it back on and have it look the same.
Mm.
And then you can just like get in the shower and wash your scalp. And so I take mine off every day.
Oh, okay.
But
Nice.
yeah, so we do hair loss. We have alopecia clients, scalp trauma. People have had you know, scalp trauma, I'm sorry, burns, all
Yeah.
so, but I'm like in the business of cranial prosthetics where we create what they lost on like a skin graft, not their
Oh.
skin, but it's like a PU, like it's a replica of a skin.
Ooh, could you like send me like a photo?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would love.
I'm on Instagram as well.
Okay. Oh, I don't have my phone. Okay, 2 seconds. I gotta switch screens.
I can email you too.
Yeah. Send me your Insta. Yeah. I would love to collaborate. I don't know if you have like a Facebook group or is this your first summit?
It is.
Awesome.
Yeah.
What program are you doing that recommended a summit? I noticed a lot of people are doing summits and they all seem to be coming from like two different coaches.
So I am with Hardcore Leadership.
Oh, okay. I'm not familiar with that one. Mm-mm.
Yeah, so it's newer to me. I just felt that like I've been doing what I've been doing for 22 years, and
Yeah.
to shift a little bit, I just have so many people coming to my office asking for questions and help. And it's like, there's got to be more for people than a hair replacement clinic for people to find this knowledge. And so
Right.
we're going to send this out to 80. My database is 85,000
That's
hairdressers.
amazing. That's God's blessing your business for sure. Yeah.
So it's just hopefully we can equip people with the tools to help their
Mhm.
clients. And
Yeah, that's what I say on my podcast a lot, like putting you in the driver's seat, right? A lot of us have just been driving, Uber's been driving us around. We're just going along with the program. And then one day you kind of figure out like, okay, just going along with the program and popping the pills, like it only gets us so far, right? Not that we can reverse everything, but like for me, like the diagnosis I have, supposedly it's a chronic illness and I'm never going to have, and it's like, I own a business, like I have a life, but I have to take there are things I do every day. There's lifestyle changes. And it's for those people that just want that one supplement. I'm like, if it was that easy, we would have already airdropped it to everyone. It really isn't that simple.
right,
Yeah.
right. Well, I do want to personally see you. And
Yeah.
go onto your website and schedule an appointment.
Let me send you really quick. I have a free discovery call link I can send you, and we can just hop like on a free discovery call, or I can even give you my cell phone number. You could just text me on my business cell phone. I'm cool either way.
Is
Um,
You tell me what's best.
just text me on my business cell. It'll be easier. 303
Three.
949 3002.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, but definitely here to support. And yeah, the dried urine test, the Dutch test is like a game changer. Like people are like, you want me to pee on paper? Yes, I need you to pee on the paper, let it dry. But I'm telling you, like it's like night and day. Like I have people that bring blood work and they're like, I've been doing blood work for years. We do the dried urine test. And I'm like, yeah, your hormones are normal, but look, it's pushing it down the wrong pathway. That's why you're always dealing with fibroids, because your hormones are great, but your body doesn't know what to do with them. You could
Right.
keep going to your OB-GYN every year, God bless her. 12 years later, it's just because your body's pushing it down the wrong pathway. And then you've tried to DIY by diagnosing yourself thinking you're estrogen dominant, and you're taking supplements and you're literally supporting the wrong pathway. So the pathway you've been supporting for 12 years is not even the one that needed the help. It was the other pathway. So that's where, I wish I could tell people other ways, but I'm like the dried urine. I do mine every year and a half, every 2 years, because it's like your hormones change as our bodies change. I did a lot of detoxing. I removed my breast implants last year. So like the more I do for my body, like I have to really look at my hormones. And that was a huge shift in my world, as well as like detoxing and all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, you're speaking my language, or I'm speaking your language. I mean,
Yes.
Yeah, I've done all those, and it's funny, how everything aligns because I am at my point where I, need to make a change, and I don't know
Hmm.
what else to do. I've done the naturopaths, I've done the Eastern medicine.
What kind of issues do you mind me? What are you dealing with?
Where do you want me to begin? Do you want me to wait for the discovery call?
Just hit me now.
So Lyme disease, fibroid growth.
Hmm.
Um,
Lyme and fibroids. Yeah.
I also was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis and I have ulcerative colitis. I
Oh, okay.
think ulcerative colitis was self-induced because I was in so much pain after I got bit by a tick. I think
Oh, okay.
my colon out with Advil, tons of ibuprofen.
That was me. I'm literally allergic. There's an actual functional test. Like I'm at 44 years old, like I am legit allergic to NSAIDs. The last time I took one, I had to get my pants cut off. Like my whole lower body swelled up. Like I cannot take ibuprofen. It is like, it's like a drug for my body. Like it'll nearly kill me.
Yeah.
But it was because I managed my pain on ibuprofen for, all those years. And now my body's like, if you even look at a bottle of ibuprofen, you're done. Like
Okay.
I can't put any NSAIDs in my body whatsoever.
That's where I'm
Yeah.
at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a lot. Yeah. I mean, there's definitely some inflammation there. Um, do you have fibroids currently?
Well, I got my uterus taken out 2 years ago,
Okay. So you had a full hysterectomy or partial?
partial.
Okay.
And I think it was because like I was just not, my bleeding was uncontrollable. And I think that was after I had COVID 3 times.
Yeah. And that's a game changer as well. Basically anything that was dormant to make this short, like basically I've seen it a ton. We've healed everyone naturally. They get COVID and all of a sudden it's like, right. And I see that with that mold and Lyme,
Mhm.
right? Anytime you come, because it gives me chills. Mold has nearly killed me. I've been hospitalized 3 times due to mold exposure, like ICU 6 or 7 weeks. And it's the same as mold and Lyme. Like as soon as they come in, your body is like, oh yeah, we healed these, but it is all back. And you're like, it's like a cascade and it happens like so quickly. You're like, oh, you have to like sit back and like, oh shit, it's all over again. Like it's back. Right. Yeah. So it can be tough. Yeah. Yeah. Especially with COVID. Hmm.
Seems like
And the inflammatory.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
fascinating.
That cytokine war. Yeah. Yeah. Well, text me and let's chit chat. And because yeah, even though you've had a hysterectomy, I mean, I'm guessing you're still having some hormone issues. Yeah.
Really not bad. So also too, how would I give my clients your information?
So you can give them we're going to change my web. Let me give you the discovery call link. You can give them this link and they can book a discovery call. Where am I at?
Your link. Can I link my, can I put that on my website?
I bet you could. Yeah. Because we're not going to change this link. This goes straight to my Calendly. Yeah, actually, you could. Yeah. This is a 15-minute discovery call. I have to be honest, I get pretty passionate sometimes. So sometimes they get 30 minutes for free, but yeah, I mean, I just love what I do. I mean, I don't hate to say it. I'm very passionate about it. And I think it's very unique. I just spoke at a medical conference and, there were OB-GYNs that were upset because they're like, well, we applied to speak. And I'm like, nothing against it because I'm not an OB-GYN, but you've never had endo and you're just telling us what Harvard told you. And that shit's not working. Sorry. I'm like, I get it. I get every time you tell people to use this prescription, you get $10,000. I know all about the kickbacks, but it doesn't work. So I did all those misconceptions, which is why they called me to the conference rather than you, not saying I'm better, but it's like, you're just bringing the book knowledge that pharma is pushing. And that's not working for us at all. If birth control was going to cure my endo, I would have been all better. I'm still waiting for that to happen. But what I do know is the years of birth control and all the lies of going to medically induced menopause, all that, I've lost a lot of my teeth. I've had a lot of dental issues. I've had a lot of trauma. At 44 years old, I have to watch my bone health because, someone told me if I go into menopause, I'd be better. And then I was breaking ankles every time I worked out. So I'm like, I'm just waiting for all that you're telling me to be true. 44 years deep and it's still not working out. So that's why they called me because you guys are just telling what the firm is, I get it. Your kids are going to school on all that money from the kickbacks, but it's not really helping the patients. And I just hate to call you guys out. But yeah, if you want to put that link on there, yeah, it should be fine. Yeah.
All right. Awesome. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, thanks for meeting and collaborating. And I'm excited for the summit.
Same. Thank you. You too.
Absolutely. All right. I'll talk to you later. Oh, quick question. What software are you guys using to push the summit out?
I'm not sure yet. So
Okay.
I know we're on high level. Do you know what that is?
Mm-mm.
It's on high level, I think, because my database is so large.
Okay.
But
High
if
level software. Oh, okay. Yeah. I've never heard of it.
it's
Okay.
been used for it's worldwide.
Okay. We'll
So
check it out. Okay. Awesome.
and then but I'll let you know for sure. I know there's still some kinks that I'm working out with Lima. We're getting a lot bigger of a response than what we expected. So we're having to shift.
Good problem to have.
Right.
Yeah. How did you find Lima?
Through my group.
Nice.
Yeah, again, just asking questions around and people were just like, wow, I've never heard of a summit like this. And it's fantastic. We're again a good problem to have. Everybody wants to be involved and it's really I feel very blessed with.
It is a blessing. Well, awesome. Congratulations. And thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you. You too. And we'll talk soon, I'm sure.
Absolutely. I'll talk to you later, girl. Bye.